Have you ever come home and felt like something was just off? Not in a creepy way, but in that strange, quiet way that makes you stop at the door and scan the room. Maybe a picture frame is slightly tilted, or an object that wasn't there this morning now sits quietly on the table. What if I told you that moment isn't random? Virgo, listen closely. Something unusual is about to happen in the one place you hold sacred, your home. You've poured so much love into it, cleaned every corner, organized every drawer, placed every crystal, plant, or candle with purpose. Your home is more than a shelter, it's a mirror of your mind. And now, that mirror is about to shift. You may leave the house for just 10 minutes, maybe to grab a coffee or check the mailbox. And when you walk back in, something will be different. It won't be dramatic, it won't be loud, but you'll feel it. A feather on the floor, a childhood toy on a shelf you haven't touched in years, a note that slipped between books now showing itself again. These aren't coincidences. These are energetic markers. And Virgo, they show up for those who've been quietly preparing without even knowing it. You've been working on your life with discipline, planning, and care. You've been showing up, staying grounded, even when it felt like no one noticed. This is your confirmation that the universe has been watching. The object or symbol you'll encounter isn't a glitch in reality. It's the first puzzle piece. It says, you're ready, not to chase wealth with desperation, but to receive it with confidence, not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with it. And the shift? It starts quietly. You might feel calmer for no reason. You might suddenly remember to check that email or open that old drawer. In those small moments, change begins. This is what steady prosperity looks like. Not a lottery ticket, not a miracle, but a series of gentle, powerful yeses. Yes to listening to your intuition. Yes to honoring your space. Yes to trusting that your timing is perfect. In the next 7 days, expect movement. It might be financial, it might be internal, it might even be both. But you will know it's here when the strange becomes sacred, when something random makes perfect sense, when the ordinary becomes a message. Let me give you a real example. There was a Virgo woman named Clara who lived alone in a small apartment in Chicago. One rainy afternoon, she came home to find a single pressed flower on her kitchen counter. She didn't own flowers. No one had visited. But there it was. That same night, she got a message from an old mentor offering her a freelance contract she desperately needed. Coincidence? She didn't think so. She later found out that the pressed flower was the same type her grandmother used to press into her childhood journal. It was a moment of alignment. A reminder that even when life feels chaotic, there are invisible threads guiding you. And Virgo, you are so good at noticing what others miss. That's your gift, your ability to see the detail within the detail, the meaning beneath the surface. Right now, you're not being tested. You're being invited to tune in deeper, invited to create space in your home and heart for what's coming. Don't brush off what shows up. Don't assume it's nothing. Sit with it. Feel what it's awakening in you. Write it down. Whisper thank you. Because the object is just the beginning. It's the doorway. Your job is to walk through it with awareness, with trust, and with the steady confidence that something bigger is aligning in your favor. The universe doesn't speak in accidents. It speaks in patterns, and you, Virgo, are finally tuned to hear it. Let me tell you a story about Grace, a Virgo woman living in Portland. She was the kind of person who planned her week down to the hour, knew the exact location of every item in her home, and found comfort in structure. After her mother passed away, Grace packed up most of the sentimental things, put them in boxes, and focused on moving forward. Years later, on an ordinary Tuesday morning, she returned home after a short walk to clear her head and saw something on the kitchen table that stopped her cold. It was her mother's necklace, silver with a tiny moon pendant, the same one she thought had been lost during the move. first, she thought she was imagining it, but it was there, clear as day. She hadn't seen it in almost 6 years. She picked it up, her hands shaking, and instantly felt this wave of calm and memory rush over her. That evening, she opened her laptop and found an unread email from a law office in her hometown. Apparently, her mother had left a small trust that had been overlooked. The necklace appeared the same day the email arrived. That moment changed everything. It wasn't just money. It was closure. It was love showing up in an unexpected form. This isn't just about old objects or lost things returning. It's about what those things mean. That necklace? It was more than a gift. It held memory, love, legacy, and that unexpected email was the bridge between grief and growth. See, for Virgo, nothing is truly random. You're the type to find meaning in the smallest cracks. When something unexpected shows up, it's not chaos, it's a coded message. The universe doesn't waste time sending symbols unless it's absolutely sure you're ready to decode them. You've built your life on logic, on steps, on structure, and now the message is asking you to trust something beyond your plan. That can be scary, but it can also be incredibly powerful. Symbols show up when words fail, when healing is overdue. And Virgo, you've been overdue for grace, for stillness, for confirmation. So here's the part most people miss, especially Virgos. You hold yourself to impossible standards. You clean, fix, organize, and give, but rarely pause to ask, when is it enough? You tell yourself you'll rest once everything is perfect. But perfection, that goalpost keeps moving. And while you're busy micromanaging every detail, abundance sits quietly in the background, waiting for permission to enter. Your deepest pain, Virgo, isn't that you're not successful. It's that even when you are, you struggle to feel like it's safe to enjoy it. You carry a silent weight, the pressure to prove, to earn, to deserve. And that weight, it slows down your ability to receive. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're trying to earn what should be naturally flowing to you. You're not supposed to fight for peace. You're supposed to create it, not chase validation, but welcome it when it arrives. When a strange object shows up in your space, take it as a whisper from something bigger than logic, a reminder that it's okay to stop, to feel, to allow. You don't need to earn every good thing. Some blessings are simply waiting for you to slow down enough to see them. Think about how many times you've pushed through exhaustion just to keep things together. How many times you've redone something because it wasn't good enough, even when no one else noticed the flaw. That level of care, Virgo, is powerful, but it comes with a cost. It teaches you to delay joy. It teaches you to wait for permission. And right now, the universe is telling you, you don't need to wait anymore. You don't need to double-check your worth. You are enough now, not someday. That strange object, whatever it is, could be your reminder. It might be small. It might look like nothing to someone else. But to you, it's the thread that unravels years of doubt, that frees you from perfectionism. Another Virgo named Tom shared how a childhood drawing he made appeared tucked behind a bookshelf while he was cleaning. He hadn't seen it in decades. It was a messy, crayon-colored version of his dream house. The next week, he got an unexpected job offer that would move him to a town he'd always wanted to live in, the exact place from his drawing. Coincidence? Not a chance. The universe leaves breadcrumbs, not just for fun, but to remind you that you're still guided, even when you feel lost. So if you're listening right now and something inside you feels tight, emotional, or like it wants to cry, don't push it away. That's your soul recognizing the truth. You've been enough all along. And now it's time to start living like it. Your home is not just where you sleep or cook. It's where your energy settles. For Virgos, your space often mirrors your mind. If there's clutter in the corner, there's usually worry in your thoughts. If something feels off when you walk in, chances are something deeper inside you wants attention. The placement of your furniture, the things you keep even when you don't use them, the items that trigger memories every time you glance at them, they all contribute to your frequency. You don't just live in your home. You communicate with it. You charge it with your mood, your memories, and your intentions. That's why when something strange shows up, like an object that wasn't there before, it's not meaningless. It's a message from your space reflecting what's happening within you. A shift has begun, and your home feels it before your mind does. There's a woman named Leslie, another Virgo, who swore her apartment rearranged itself, not in a horror movie way, but in a subtle, noticeable pattern. One night she came home and found a book that had been tucked away in storage suddenly lying on her bed. That same week, she made peace with a part of her past she hadn't spoken about in over a decade. That book? It had a pressed flower from a letter her ex wrote. The house was helping her heal. The 7-day window starts the moment your awareness locks in, and Virgo, your gift is awareness. Over the next week, don't be surprised if small things start changing. Maybe an old friend reaches out. Maybe you feel a sudden urge to clean a drawer you've ignored for years. Maybe you get invited to something that seems random, but opens a door. These are not random events. These are orchestrated responses to your shift. The energy you're putting out is echoing back. A woman once told me she started noticing the same numbers every day. 4:44, 11:11, 5:55. And every time it happened, she stopped and asked herself what she was thinking in that moment. Within days, she saw how the signs were syncing with her thoughts, nudging her to finally launch a business idea she had shelved for years. This is your 7-day echo chamber, Virgo. Listen closely. Clean not just your physical space, but your energetic clutter too. Say goodbye to the things that feel heavy, even if they seem valuable. Let go of the gifts from people who hurt you. Burn that list of should-haves and must-dos. Now here's the truth. Money, luck, and good timing don't just fall from the sky. They flow through openings we create. The universe is not Amazon Prime. It's not going to deliver what you're not aligned to receive. And alignment isn't about perfection. It's about resonance. Virgo, when you feel safe, your energy stabilizes. When your energy stabilizes, your decisions improve. When your decisions improve, your life changes. This is not magic. It's systems. Systems you already understand better than most signs. You've lived your whole life building them. This time, you're building one with ease. Let your home become your anchor, not your anxiety. Let your routines become rituals. Let your quiet become power. You're entering a 7-day phase where every shift matters. Every object, every thought, every instinct is trying to tell you something. Will you pause long enough to listen? Or will you miss the moment because you're too busy trying to fix what was never broken? There was also Marcus, a Virgo who lived alone for years in a small town in Arizona. One morning, he found an old map folded inside a jacket he hadn't worn in ages. It wasn't just any map. It was a hand-drawn sketch of a hiking trail he used to visit with his father as a kid. He hadn't thought about that place in decades. Something told him to go back. That hike ended up being the moment he realized he needed to move cities, restart his life, and pursue a business idea he had abandoned. 6 months later, he was thriving in a new city, running a wellness studio that now helps hundreds of people. All because he listened to a small nudge from an unexpected object. These things happen more than you think. And Virgo, they happen most to people who are sensitive to patterns, like you. You're the observer, the one who sees the thread no one else does. That's your power. So don't overlook the signs just because they seem small. The universe rarely shouts, it whispers. And right now, it's whispering your name. Take a deep breath, Virgo. Let's pause for a moment, just you and the space around you. Imagine a golden light slowly forming above your head. This light isn't loud, it's not flashy. It's gentle, steady, warm. It begins to pour down through your crown, through your mind, washing away doubt, second-guessing, and pressure. It moves through your shoulders, releasing tension from years of trying to carry everything alone, down into your chest, your heart, where it softens the need to prove yourself, the weight of being the responsible one, That golden light is not just healing, it's realignment. It's clarity. It reaches your stomach, your hands, your legs, down to your feet, and then radiates outward like a field. This field isn't meant to protect you from the world. It's meant to remind you that you can move through the world differently, more connected, more calm, more powerful. And now, Virgo, this is where it gets interesting. Over the next few days, you're going to see signs. Maybe it's a strange object showing up where it shouldn't be. Maybe it's a dream that feels more real than usual. Maybe it's numbers that follow you, repeating patterns like 222 or 1111 or 444. Pay attention. These are not coincidences. These are breadcrumbs. Just like how a lighthouse doesn't move, but its light guides the ship, you are being shown the way. Your job isn't to control the signs, but to acknowledge them. Write them down. Talk about them. Sit with them. Don't brush them off because they don't make logical sense right away. Virgo, your mind loves logic, but your soul speaks in symbols. Now is not the time to dismiss your intuition. Now is the time to become fluent in its language. A woman once shared with me that she kept seeing blue butterflies every time she questioned whether to leave her job. She thought it was silly at first, but when she finally made the leap, she walked past a mural of a massive blue butterfly painted on the wall of her new office building. That was her sign. Let's bring this home. You felt it. This pull to shift, to change, to rise. But how do you move from just knowing to actually living it? Alignment isn't passive. It's a choice, and you've already begun. You're choosing to listen, to soften, to notice. And now it's time to act. That doesn't mean hustle. It means intentional movement. Organize your finances, not because you're scared, but because you're claiming stability. Make that phone call, not because of fear, but because your intuition says it's time. Start that project, not because you're chasing success, but because you're building legacy. Every action becomes sacred when it's aligned with your truth. Every decision, no matter how small, becomes a prayer in motion. And you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it from a place of honesty. When you see those signs, whether it's a number, a dream, a whisper in your gut, pause, breathe, ask yourself, what part of me is being asked to rise right now? What's ready to change? What's ready to heal? And if you don't have the answer right away, that's okay. The signs aren't puzzles you need to solve, they're invitations. And Virgo, your invitation has arrived. Another Virgo I worked with named Eli had a habit of ignoring his gut feelings. He always leaned on logic, spreadsheets, and step-by-step plans. But one day, he walked into his apartment and saw a bird feather lying in the center of his bed. His windows were closed. He lived on the 3rd floor. There was no reason for that feather to be there. It shook him in a way he couldn't explain. That same night, he had a dream of his grandmother telling him to go visit a plot of land they'd talked about years ago. He followed the nudge. 2 weeks later, he ended up investing in that very plot, which has now become a community healing garden. He didn't plan for it, he aligned with it. And that's the difference. Planning says, I control. Alignment says, I trust. And Virgo, you've mastered the former. Now it's time to begin dancing with the latter. Let this moment in your life be the one where you stop asking for permission to receive. Stop waiting until you're more ready, more perfect, more deserving. You already are. The signs are arriving, your energy is sinking, your time is now. Let's pause here, Virgo, because there's something you really need to hear. The thing that has kept abundance slightly out of reach for you isn't laziness or lack of skill, or even bad luck. It's the deeply rooted belief that you still have to prove yourself before you can receive. That belief has been quietly running the show for years, and it's time we break it. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you looked at something you truly wanted and allowed yourself to believe you were already worthy of it without changing a thing? Virgo, wake up. You've been waiting, haven't you? Waiting for one more sign, one more green light, one more perfect condition. But listen, how much longer are you going to delay your own life? You say you're preparing, but you've been preparing for years. You say you're waiting for the right moment, but maybe that moment has been waiting for you. This isn't about motivation. It's about a decision, a hard, clean, final decision that says, no more second-guessing, no more shrinking, no more being halfway in. The universe doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards boldness. Precision is your gift, Virgo. But don't let perfectionism be your prison. Let that object that showed up be your alarm clock. Let this message be your call to rise. Let that discomfort be your permission to leap. Stop playing it safe with your destiny. Stop tiptoeing around the door that's already open. The most dangerous thing you can do right now is nothing. So move. Clean the drawer. Make the call. Throw the damn paper out. Change the light bulb. Speak the truth. Say yes. Say no. But do something. Because stillness is sacred until it becomes avoidance. And you, Virgo, you're too powerful to keep hiding behind. I'm thinking about it. Most Virgos wait. They wait until they've checked all the boxes, handled every task, made everything perfect. But worthiness isn't a checklist. It's a choice. You are allowed to receive just because you exist, just because you breathe. That may sound simple, even silly, but it's actually the most radical truth of all. Imagine what would change in your life if you really believed that. Would you still overthink every decision? Would you still question every compliment? Would you still make yourself smaller in conversations, even when you know you have something powerful to say? Probably not. And that brings us to the real turning point, the shift that changes everything. Here's the twist most people never see coming. Your fear isn't failure, it's losing control. It's the idea that if you finally let go and trust, something will fall apart. So you hold on, you tighten, you double-check, you perfect. And in doing so, you block the very flow that's trying to support you. You build a dam with your need to manage everything, and then wonder why the river of abundance hasn't arrived. The truth is, Virgo, you don't need to work harder. You need to release smarter. That doesn't mean giving up. It means loosening your grip on the belief that everything depends on you. You've done the work. You've shown up. Now it's time to let the universe meet you halfway. I once knew a man named David, also a Virgo, who spent 20 years climbing the ladder in his career. He followed all the rules. He was respected, well-paid, and absolutely exhausted. The turning point came when he found a small ceramic bowl in the back of his kitchen cabinet. It was one his late mother used when they would bake together. That day, he cried for the first time in years. The bowl wasn't magical, but it cracked something open in him. He realized he had built a life that looked perfect on paper but felt hollow in his soul. Within a few months, he made changes, not reckless ones, but real ones. He downsized his schedule. He started gardening again. He spent time with his niece. And wouldn't you know it, his financial life didn't fall apart. In fact, it got better, because when he aligned his inner world, his outer world followed. This is the kind of transformation waiting for you, Virgo. Not in some far-off future, but now, today. And it starts with a single decision, to trust that letting go won't break you. It will build you. Another woman I coached, her name was Lila, shared how she kept pushing herself to be the perfect daughter, perfect wife, perfect boss. But deep down, she never felt she had permission to just be. One day, while cleaning out her closet, she found an old photo of herself as a child, barefoot, messy hair, laughing wildly in a field of sunflowers. She stared at that photo for 10 minutes and broke down in tears. She realized she hadn't laughed like that in years. That version of her, the unfiltered, unpolished version, still lived inside, just buried under all the layers of who she thought she had to be. That photo became her altar, her reminder. Every morning now she starts the day by looking at it and asking, what would she want for me today? And it's made her softer, more trusting, more open, and yes, more abundant too. Because when you honor the real you, life stops resisting you. So, Virgo, the question isn't whether the signs are real. They are. The question is, will you follow them even when they ask you to loosen your grip? Will you choose to believe that ease doesn't mean laziness, and that softness is not weakness? You've spent so long holding everything together. Maybe now it's time to let something hold you. Maybe now it's time to say yes, not to another task or obligation, but to yourself. Because when you say yes to yourself, everything else starts to shift. Doors open, people appear, opportunities find you. Not because you chased them, but because you finally stood still long enough for them to catch up. Close your eyes for a moment, Virgo. Picture yourself walking into a space that feels like it was made just for you. The light is soft, the air is calm, and everything around you is arranged in perfect balance. This space is not a fantasy. It's the life you're creating moment by moment with every choice you make. But here's the thing, you don't build that life by force. You build it by flow. You build it by aligning your daily actions with your deeper truth. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. And for Virgos, that means honoring the part of you that needs peace, not pressure. Your greatest wealth won't come from burning yourself out to succeed. It will come from creating a life that feels good on the inside, not just looks good on the outside. I remember someone once told me that their moment of transformation came not in a fancy seminar or dramatic life event, but while sweeping their floor. They looked down and saw an old ring their grandmother had gifted them, one they thought had been lost for years. That moment cracked something open. It reminded them that even in the most ordinary routines, something sacred can appear. And the object? That seemingly random thing you found in your home? It's not a glitch. It's not just a forgotten item. It's a breadcrumb, a quiet key that unlocks a memory, a vision, or a nudge you've been ignoring. I've heard people talk about seeing feathers, coins, old photos, or even childhood books resurfacing after years. Each one of them said the same thing. It didn't feel random. It felt like a message. And most of the time, that message was simple. Slow down, look closer, and remember who you really are. Maybe you've been feeling tired lately, or maybe the things that once motivated you just don't hit the same anymore. That's not failure. That's a signal. A signal that something deeper is trying to take the lead. You don't need to start over. You need to return to the version of you that was always aligned. That version still lives inside you, and it's closer than you think. So as we come to the close of this message, I want to leave you with this. Maybe it's not about chasing signs, but becoming someone who naturally attracts them. Maybe the transformation you've been looking for doesn't start with some big external change, but with the decision to finally trust yourself. The object that appeared in your space is not just a sign of change. It is the change. You've already stepped into a new frequency. Now it's about staying there. Don't rush to the next thing. Don't overthink your next step. Just breathe. Let yourself adjust to this new rhythm. Because when your energy shifts, your life follows. Your relationships evolve. Your work deepens. Your health improves. Not through force, but through alignment. You were never meant to live in constant fixing mode. You were meant to build, to shape, to heal with intention. And now, Virgo, the universe is meeting you exactly where you are. Ready, steady, and in sync with everything you've been quietly preparing for. The path ahead won't always be easy, but it will be aligned. And that makes all the difference. There's another story I'll never forget. A man named Caleb, also a Virgo, found a tiny wooden toy car under his bed while moving furniture. He hadn't seen it since childhood. It belonged to his father, who used to fix up cars on weekends and always told Caleb he had a gift for design. That memory woke something up. Caleb had spent years working a job that paid the bills, but drained his spirit. That car reminded him of his roots, of the version of himself that dreamed freely. It gave him the courage to sign up for night classes in product design, something he had shelved for 2 decades. Fast forward a year, and he's now creating tools that help kids with learning challenges. That little wooden car wasn't just a memory, it was a turning point dot. But not every sign leads to some magical ending. Let me tell you about Karen, another Virgo who saw a sign. And still, nothing turned out the way she hoped. She found a broken picture frame under her bed one afternoon while cleaning. Inside was a photo of her and her ex-husband, smiling in a time before everything fell apart. Her heart leapt. She thought, this must mean something. So she reached out. She sent the message. She opened herself back up. And he never replied. Weeks passed. The silence became louder than any words, and for a while she blamed herself. She thought she had misread the universe. But one day, while journaling, it hit her. That frame didn't reappear to reunite her with the past. It showed up to help her release it. The photo wasn't about love reborn. It was about love that shaped her and taught her who she could become without it. She didn't get her ex back, but she got herself back. That, Virgo, is what real alignment sometimes looks like. Not the fairy tale, but the fierce, quiet power of choosing yourself when the world gives you no applause. And that's what I want you to understand, Virgo. Your turning point won't always look dramatic. It might arrive quietly, wrapped in dust, or hidden behind a box you haven't opened in years. But when it arrives, pay attention. That object, that memory, that moment, it's not here to entertain you. It's here to realign you. Don't let it pass without listening. Don't talk yourself out of its meaning. Because when you choose to honor the whisper instead of waiting for the shout, that's when life starts moving in your favor.